Hey, fourth grade. So we're going to try something a little bit different with science in our presentations. Well, first, I hope that you guys did make a science journal. If not, put me on pause right now because you need to go make a journal. We're going to be taking notes. So our theme, there's our opening theme, is going to be living things, structure and function. And we're going to do several lessons related to this. But just like we do in science class, is you have one large page that, has the heading on it. So I'll leave it up for a few more moments. You could also always hit pause and play something back in case it seems like I'm going a little too fast, but I only have so much time to record things. Anyway, what I'm going to try to do is see if I can also put up a presentation for you guys to see as well. So in a moment, I'm going to show you a PowerPoint presentation on the screen here. I'm going to talk you through it just like we would in class. But before we do, again, just like in class, we usually have something we're going to put in our notebooks. So if you have the ability to print, I've shared this document with you. Half of it's in English, the other half is in Spanish. You only need to print the first page. There are 3 pages to that document, but you only need to print the first page. And if for some reason you can't print, don't worry. I'll show you an alternate way of doing your notes. So we will put the heading on top. What do living things need to survive? Okay, I also have that written in Spanish. ¿Qué necesitan los seres vivos para sobrevivir? Okay. And again, if you don't have the opportunity to print, here's another way of doing it and still have like a really cool notebook that you can play with. So I just put Post-it notes here. Okay. And we're talking about living things. So they're either plants or they're animals. Those are our living things, plants and animals. Okay. And so if you can't print, don't worry. You're going to write the answers right underneath and you're going to have an interactive notebook at home. Now, if you are able to print, it's going to be something similar to this. I have some examples. Of course, I'm showing this to you in Spanish right now. I have some examples, and as you see the PowerPoint presentation, you'll figure out where they go. Okay, so again, you can pause at any time if you need to get scissors, glue sticks, whatever you need to do. Get it ready, because I'm going to start the PowerPoint presentation in just a moment. So our presentation today is about basic needs of living things. I forgot to mention, you should also have a pencil with you. So could you please put this heading at the top, and I will ask you, try to do the right side of your notebook. So basic needs of living things. What do living things need? ¿Qué necesitan los seres vivos? So basic living things. So we've already determined that the living things we're going to discuss are plants and animals. Everything else is not living. Okay, so plants and animals. So there are 5 basic needs. Light, especially from the sun, is a source of energy. Well, believe it or not, animals could live without that. They, of course, won't be as healthy. It's always great for them to get some form of sunlight, but it's actually plants that need it. So you're only going to place that underneath plants, and be specific. Say sunlight, not just light, right? Sunlight underneath plants. Food. Be careful here. Don't be so quick to write this down. Plants make their own food. So if they're making their own food, do they need it? So what really happens is plants need other things like sunlight and water and a certain chemical in air in order to make their own food. So this is not something that plants need because they make it themselves. It is animals that need food. Animals eat plants and other animals. So please write food underneath animals need. heat. You can see right there. Both plants and animals, they could die when temperatures fall below the freezing point. So that is something both plants and animals need. Air. And we're being specific about what chemical in the air is needed. So I'm asking you, is it plants that need oxygen or animals that need oxygen? And then vice versa for carbon dioxide. Which one needs that? I'm just curious how much you already might know. Is it plants need oxygen and animals need carbon dioxide? Or the other way around? Animals need oxygen and plants need carbon dioxide. I'm not going to just give you all the answers, guys. I'm hoping you know some of this yourself, and I will always follow up with an answer key at some point. Okay, water. 2/3 of the human body is made up of water. But you know what? Plants need water too. So I mentioned those 5 basic things, but for those of you who had the words to cut out, you're going, I still have some extras. That's because plants also need room to grow. Plants also need room to grow. As you can see in this sample here, you see that tiny little plant? Well, that's because the roots had nowhere to grow. It needed a larger pot with more soil so it could spread out, and therefore then it could grow and be larger. And the one last thing, and I don't have a slide for it, is shelter, like a house. Animals need shelter. Birds make nests, bears go into dens, and people go into houses. Okay, so animals need shelter. If we put a shelter over a plant, that would block the sunlight and the plant would die. Okay, guys, so we're on a new page in our notebook. Okay, we're on a new page. I would like this on the right-hand side. So you should have already finished this other page and put information underneath. Okay, but now we're on a new page, and the heading is Basic Life Functions. So we just talked about all the things that plants and animals need, but what do they need them for? They need them to carry out these basic life functions. So I'm going to change this into presentation mode. There we go. So basic life functions. And what that means is that living things carry out basic life functions for survival of their species. And please write that right underneath your heading. Okay, write that right underneath your heading. And again, if I'm going too fast, you can always pause to leave things showing there on the screen. So again, we have needs as animals. We need water. We need air. More specifically, we need oxygen. Told you I might give you the answer at some point. We need food. Okay, and we need all these things to carry out our basic life functions. So the first one is to grow and develop. That is a basic life function. You know, just like this potato plant here, if it didn't grow and develop, it would just be a potato. It'd be one potato. But as you see, as it grows and develops, it has multiple potatoes. Okay, and as people, I mean, if we didn't grow and develop, we'd all be crawling around on the ground for the rest of our lives. But we do. We grow and develop. We mature our bodies physically as well as mentally. Okay, so again, you should be writing, if I have it written in red, that's what I should highlight to you. It should be something that you're writing in your notebook. Okay, grow and develop. That should be what you write in your notebook. Okay, on the next slide, now you'll notice not everything's written in red. Okay, but you should write use energy. Okay, please write use energy as your next heading or subheading. Okay, all living things use energy. Now, plants make their own food, and so that's how they're getting their energy in the process of making it. Okay, so could you please write what's in red? Plants make their own food. Okay, while animals eat plants and other animals for their energy. Okay, the next thing will be responding to the environment. So I want you to think for a moment. As the weather gets colder or food becomes scarce, and that means not as much, what do some animals do? Take a moment, think about it. As the weather gets colder and there's less food around, some animals make choices. They make choices for their survival. So what they choose is to migrate or hibernate. Okay, now you might not know what those words mean. Okay, I'm going to touch the word migrate and look what happened. I jumped to a definition page that I have set up in this slide presentation. It's the very last slide. Okay, so it mentions migrate and hibernate right there. So to migrate, it is the regular long distance movement of animals from one region to another. So when we see a regular long distance movement, it isn't you moving from one house to another, okay? Humans don't migrate when they buy a new house and move there. They just moved. But when we say a regular long distance movement, it means it's periodic. It happens at the same time each year, and it can happen maybe going to the warmer climates and then going back to a colder climate, okay? My system kind of blinked there for a moment. My apologies. So as I was saying, hibernate when an animal is not active. Okay, and when we say not active, we're talking about it's not going out and hunting. Okay, it's not going out and doing some of its usual activities. All of its body systems actually begin to slow down. That's what happens when it hibernates. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the other slide that I was on. And you'll notice that I now say some plants some plants, however, plants, have you seen a plant get up and move to another location? They can't migrate. And plants, do they look like they're going to sleep? Might be surprised. They kind of do, but we use the word dormant. Okay? It's when the processes within the plant slow down. So the processes of taking in water and carbon dioxide and the sunlight and making food for themselves, there's less sunlight come autumn into the winter. So trees become dormant. Doesn't mean they die. Just means they're almost like hibernating. They're kind of sleeping. Okay, everything slows down for them. And they drop their leaves, but they'll get fresh new ones again in the spring. Okay, so that is responding to the environment. And again, you should still be filling in your notes. Please write down those things. And if you don't know what the definitions are, another good idea would be to put the definitions on the left side of your notebook. Okay, you always have access to them on the left side of your notebook. You can have the definitions. So I do have these printed out. I did share with you. I think this is the third page of the document I shared with you, but you could also handwrite them. Just copy them right from the slide. But we're not done talking about all of the basic life functions. There's one more, and that is to reproduce. Okay, that's the last basic life function, to reproduce. What do you think it means when you're looking at this picture? What do you think? Well, since I have it highlighted in blue and underlined in blue, that means if I touch it, I should jump to the last slide. Oh no, not when I'm in the middle of this. Of course it won't. I'm still learning how to use this. So on the last slide, there's the definition. Okay. Reproduce. To make more of its own, to lay eggs, produce seeds, or have babies. Okay. So that is our presentation. So I said that is our presentation. It's really my presentation, but I'm hoping you learned a little bit, and I'm hoping we can get back into the swing of taking notes, organizing our notebook, and hopefully still making it what I call an interactive notebook, where if you have the ability to print things out, great. If not, I will always try to show you another option so that you can still have what I call an interactive notebook. Okay, so just as simple, just using Post-it notes, and you're just going to write the words underneath. Okay, so let's continue to try to be engaged with our learning, and feel free to ask questions. You can always post them in Google Classroom. And I'm hoping to also try to find some games that you might be able to play, online games, to help enhance some of this information. All right, great job, 4th grade. Thank you.